I wonder how many of you were scared by Keith Flint when you were children. I was one of those, but the Prodigy's music clicked with me since day one. This is a band that was and still is very popular in Central and Eastern Europe. My uncle had this album when it came out. When I was attending a wedding in Serbia this year, it was #1 band for almost everyone. Still, in 2022, while their last relevant album came out in '97. As a matter of fact, this video was supposed to be about Fate of the Land, their most famous album, best rated, the one that probably influenced a lot of internet critics. I think it's because it was this first generation of young people who were writing things on the internet, so whatever was influential for them back then, it became a classic later on. But as much as I am one of those people, I think Experience is a better album and more relevant today. And I'll tell you why. First, I think Fate of the Land does something great. It combines techno, punk and psychedelia in a unique blend. It has 3 fantastic songs that were singles, but it also has more filler tracks that from time perspective sound outdated. While Experience, even though it's 5 years older, is a pure rave set that you could play at the party right now, and I'm sure people would be dancing. Even for the younger crowd, I think it has more connection because the DJs of today incorporate these ideas into their today's mixes. I didn't go to the raves when I was young, but I started doing it being closer to 40. And the first thing I noticed was how these early 90s ideas could be a significant part of a DJ set. Experience is simply danceable. You have tracks that go from 140 to 155 beats per minute, and the danceability never goes down. Even if it gives you a bit space to breathe like every DJ set should, you still get banger after banger throughout the full album, which is a difficult thing to deliver, but they deliver it. Second thing, influence of Experience. When I was doing research about contemporary critics' reactions, I saw some things that could be described as old men yelling at the cloud. The songs are loud, obnoxious, and sampled from kids program, and obviously they were a product of rave culture, which was considered dangerous. But still, these songs made top 5 at British regular charts. Some say if you want to know what rave culture was, the shortest and easiest way was simply to listen to this album Experience. From the very beginning, we're thrown into chopped, acid-like sound licks. The order Keep on Dancing tells you everything you need to know. Jericho is a total banger, and I don't believe you can listen to it without moving your feet. Music Rich sounds like a product of its times, with the loud vocal soul sample and trippy synthesizer. Wind It Up has this beautiful electric piano so typical for late 80s and early 90s. This is something that contemporary DJs put into their mixes as some sort of homage, but even Lady Gaga had this element at her previous album. The vocal line and the words Wind It Up, repeated throughout the track, are very catchy and make the song stay in your head. Lately I've been interested in DJing, and I've noticed if you want to keep your crowd dancing but not to give them a heart attack, you need to give them a little space to breathe, and the chorus of the song is actually something like that. By the way, Prodigy is a never-ending goldmine of samples and also good remixes. Even their new stuff has good remixes. Then you have a song called Your Love, which wasn't a single, but as well it could have been. This is the moment you realize this album doesn't really have fillers. These are all legit party-making tracks. I said in the DJ set you need calmer moments, but you also need moments of elevated pace, where people can close their eyes and simply dedicate themselves to dancing. Hyperspeed, as the name suggests, is a song like this. You have these anthemic chants that dictate the pace. This song opens the second part of the album and has a task to build up the tension before the biggest hits that came out of Experience. The next one is Charlie. The album's version is different to the singles version. The single version's beginning, it's like a prototype of Breathe with this metal pounding sounds of sorts. Here, listening to this song, I had an impression that you already have to be in trance to feel this song and to move your body the way it tells you. Also, to have something like this as your opening single is a very brave decision. It's a very left field selection, and they have more crowd-pleasing songs on this album. But given the success of Charlie, it just means the crowd wanted something different, something new. Out of Space, however, is a huge banger. Some parts of these songs are simply made to be short clips or music interludes between long parts of a speech.
I'm gonna send into outer space.
Okay, this was the review of the song. Everybody in the Place was the first song I've ever heard from the Prodigy, and I'm used to the Fairground edit or the Fairground remix, which was the single. I couldn't get over the album version. I forgot the album version existed. But when I finally dug into it, I realized the song has a high beat per minute, which makes it a peak of the set. Because what we get later is like an 8 minutes track that winds you down. Whether experience, you can't really say is the song good or bad. It's just placed there to give you the moment to chill down. Although the latter part does have a bit of progression because it has to build up, on the other hand, for the last part of the album. Now Fire. I admit I forgot the song existed, but I love it actually. It was amazing to hear it again. I know the original from Arthur Brown. It was a heavily psychedelic song from '68. It got sampled into the song, but the band made something like reggae rave out of it.
I am the god of hellfire, and I bring you
And I'm not surprised the album name is Sunrise version, because it's exactly what I would like to play at my party at sunrise. It's absolutely carefree, it's wonderful, and it's one of my favorite tracks on Experience. Rough in the Jungle Business is extremely chippy, and while at the beginning it may sound like a filler for people who are already in the party trance, just something to give them to dance to. From the moment when the vocal sample comes, it sounds like it carries the party on its own, and it's becoming a very fun song. The closing song is performed live, and it's not the best song, but it's the one that doesn't apply to your musical analytical brain, but to your emotion. It gives you the feeling that you are participating in a rave, and this is also where we hear Maxim for the first time. So when it ends, you want to clap to honor the band and the DJ. Honestly, I can't even start expressing my admiration to how they managed to come up with so many catchy parts throughout the full album, where 90% of material is like a standalone hit. Experience is filled with creativity, ready to go party material, and even if it does sound very much like early 90s, it's so dynamic you will not have time to think is it outdated or not, which I think is a sign that we're talking about a classic album from time perspective.